Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think recovery really starts with training, and the more effectively you've trained for an event, the better your recovery is going to be. And I have, just when I train for a channel swim, I'm getting, 50, 60,000 yards a week in, and I've, just have that fitness level that translates well to overall fitness and then to a quick recovery after an event.
Got it. So practically speaking, if you're training for a warm water Molokai channel swim, and then you're shifting to, I don't know, a half mile run or, a cold water North Channel, that isn't gonna work out.
No, yeah, that's where the swimming's difficult because those are factors I can't train for.
Got it.
I do almost all exclusively my training in a pool that's right about 80 degrees. So I don't have a lot of flexibility on that. I think I might be rare and fortunate in this aspect, but temperature has never really affected me very
Okay.
well. I can suffer pretty well at both ends of the extreme, whether it's
Okay.
a blazing hot Ironman in Hawaii or Malaysia, or going down to cold temperatures as well in open water. I don't think temperature is as
Okay.
much a factor for me as it might be for other people.
Got it. Got it. And I want to get sort of into specifics. Are there, like, when you do it, let's say a hard week of pool training, and your shoulders and your triceps and your pecs, and they're just tired, you're fatigued. What are some of your tricks that are specific to your recovery?
I do a lot of heat, a lot of hot baths that
Okay.
will kind of help aid that recovery. I've been seeing the same massage therapist for over 25 years now, who
Got
knows
it.
my body probably better than I do. And he's a great friend and it really helps me once or twice a week, even just helps me loosen up and recover and be ready for the next session. So I think, massage and warm heat on sore muscles is really, been key to my recovery.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I do see a lot of swimmers actually do the opposite. They're putting ice on, and you're
Right.
going the opposite way. What's the theory behind that?
Yeah, I've heard, I'm not an expert in this field, but I've heard that ice doesn't have healing properties, right? You use
Yeah.
ice to limit swelling, but
Yeah.
if it's not like a traumatic injury or something that's swelling, that heat is going to draw more blood to the muscle and speed
Yeah.
in the recovery process. Plus, it feels good. Ice doesn't necessarily feel good. It feels good and makes you relax, and maybe that relaxation helps the recovery as well. So it makes me feel better, and that's what I go
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So, do you think the psychosemantic, the mental part of just feeling relaxed and comfortable, is a key part to recovery?
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of it feeds off each other. If you feel miserable and that affects you mentally, that's going to be a downward spiral because I think the
Yeah.
worse you feel mentally, that manifests itself physically. And I think
Yeah.
the opposite is true. Like the better you feel mentally, the better your body feels. I think that builds on itself in a positive way.
Yeah, great, great. And then I remember you speaking last week, and we were talking about, the post Ironman, post
Yeah,
Hawaiian Ironman, where, it would take you a while to walk up or down stairs, whereas
yeah,
you do longer stuff in the ocean, and you're fine the next day. Can you explain to people who aren't a triathlete or don't
yeah.
do marathons, like what is that part of recovery that is so difficult with the dryland sports?
Well, I think with triathlon and running specifically is it's the impact, and then it's when you're racing again, it's just that digging so deep into that well of what you got and dancing right on that red line for hours. And that's what I was even thinking about like last week. I mean, with an Ironman, it would not only take me about a week before I could walk downstairs, but like have this beachfront condo in Hawaii and not want to do anything after the race except lay in the room with the lights off and the air conditioner on, right? I mean, it was hard to enjoy traveling with triathlon because like the days before the race were all focused on the race, and the days after the race, man, I didn't want to do anything. Would struggle to get up and down stairs, and did my first Ironman my freshman year of college, and it was probably 4 to 6 weeks before I was hitting my times in cross country or swimming
Oh,
that I
wow.
was good before Ironman. I mean, that's how much race took out of me. And just with open water swimming, it's not the same. The recovery is so much faster. It's more fun to travel for, because not only is the recovery faster, but it's lugging a bike case all over the world, race triathlon in 12 different countries. But with swimming, like, all the equipment I need fits in the side pocket of my backpack. So it makes the travel a lot easier and the recovery a lot faster. So there's nothing not to love about that.
Yeah. Now you've done some remarkable swims, beautiful swims, in Hawaii. There's not a lot of people in the world who get to, see, let alone swim around islands like Molokai and, Maui and Lanai and stuff. But I want to compare that kind of channel swimming and marathon swimming with something that one of your swimmers, master swimmers, introduced you, which is ice swimming.
Yes.
And how did you see those two differences?
I mean, they're very, very different, right? I mean, the warm water swims, or like the Hawaii swims. I mean, those are, I found that those, I mean, to me, there feels like I really enjoy those swims because there's really no sense of urgency. When we swam on Molokai to Oahu, we were in the water for almost 18 hours, but it didn't ever feel like, there was just this sense of urgency. Like, man, I got to get done. I got to get to the shore, right? I mean, it was just like, could do this all day. And for, ice swimming, it's very different. But yeah, my ice swimming story starts at the Moon Valley Country Club where we practice. One of my master swimmers, Jerry George, introduced us to ice swimming because there is a baby pool at this facility that's maybe 2 feet deep. It's very small, 10 by 20 feet maybe. Okay. And it's unheated, and it has a water feature on it that runs all the time. So it's basically maybe, 500 gallons of water that's being consistently aerated all the way through the Arizona winter. Now in Phoenix, we get hot in the summer, but in December, we might see a high of 55 and a low of 35.
Okay.
So that water got really, really cold. So after a master's practice in the morning, Jerry would say, like, who wants to join me in the jacuzzi this morning? And that's how we fondly referred to as the baby pool that we had a thermometer on, and it got down as low as 36 degrees.
Oh, okay.
So
oh, wow.
Usually it was in the low 40s. I kind of started joining him over there, where after we swam, we'd spend 10 or 15 or 20 minutes just laying down in this water that was in the low 40s. And after doing that a couple times, I started talking about the ice mile, and that's how that adventure came together.
Oh, wow. So it was basically just a challenge, and you took that challenge to the whole nother level.
Well, yeah, it was like that, like the Ocean 7 thing for me. The first thing I saw was like the ice mile. I was like, man, these people are crazy. I'd never want to do that. Then I kind of get the introduction to it and start playing around with it and think, maybe I could do this. And again, I don't know how that I'd recommend this to anybody, but after a 20-minute session in the jacuzzi, I'd jump back in the water and start swimming again. And that to me would would quicken that recovery process too, because jumping back into 80-degree water, felt really hot right away. And then with the after drop, I was still swimming. So I don't know, 20 minutes later, after swimming some more laps, kind of felt better after getting that chill from the ice bath.
Wow. Wow. Now there is your counterpart over in Germany, Christoph Wanderstadt. He's actually one of the world's, he did a 7:03 or something across the English Channel. Amazing professional swimmer who preferred warm water in his early years. And now he's a winter swimming champion, ice swimming champion, but he trains very similar to you. So in Germany, in the Bavarian region, he has your standard 50-meter pool, and he trains hard there. He's a lifelong competitive swimmer. And then he opens up the sliding door. Right outside is a ice lake. And he'll do a set. He'll go, 400 or 500s, open the sliding glass door, snowing outside, German winter, and then he'll swim a little bit. He'll come back in and repeat that. Those are his sort of things. So there are two of you in the world who do
that are doing that. Yeah, it's I found it worked for me, and that was that adventure too. Jerry and I went up, I guess it was a year ago in February, up to a pool in Prescott, Arizona. Prescott's about an hour north of Phoenix, and it's at 5,000 feet. It's got a cold winter, snow on the ground, and a pool there that's treated but unheated, and we knocked out our ice mile there.
Wow, excellent. Now, how did you deal with the rewarming and in the ice mile?
Well, it was at a pool at a health club, so it actually was
Oh,
a good setup for us because just went in the steam room afterwards.
okay. Okay.
That's what
Excellent.
the recovery process. It just kind of the steam room or a sauna, just getting that warm air into your lungs. I think that was an easy recovery than being out in a lake in the middle of nowhere. I think we kind of
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
an easier recovery there.
Now, what about eating, hydrating, taking aspirin? Does any of that come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I'll use ibuprofen after swims. Uh, and I think the staying hydrated, I make hydration a key focus while I'm swimming. So never let myself really get into that place where you're dangerously dehydrated. I think especially during stage swims, that
Yeah.
fueling between days is really important, and just getting enough calories and getting the right kind of calories, stuff that you're used to, stuff that that your body can handle. Just being able to use that to feel better,
Yeah.
to get yourself prepared for the next day.
Yeah. And I mean, you did your 24-hour swim, the 40 bridges, so twice around Manhattan Island. Uh, what was your exact time? I forgot it off.
I think 1930,
Okay.
1930-ish, and then plus about 3 hours of warm up in
Yes.
there.
We never have to forget
Yeah,
the world's longest warm up ever.
it is.
Um, what was that recovery like?
Again, it was pretty quick. I mean, I had been up for about 26, 28 hours by the time we got on shore. Went took a nap for 3 or 4 hours, and then got up and went for a run. I have this. That's like the other thing that's really kept me on track. I have this run streak. I'm closing in on 5 years now, where I've run at least 20 minutes every day for closing in on 1,800 days now. So that
Wow.
also helps me track my recovery, because I know
Interesting.
what my baseline run is, and then what kind of pace I normally can hold for 20 minutes, and then after a swim like Monterey 2 weeks ago. I thought that was one of my hardest swims, and I'm still not sure why, but it was one of my quickest recoveries. It's
Really?
kind of wrote the times down because it was interesting, because that night, I got back and then ran that night and was averaging a 10:44 mile on that run. And I use the term run loosely at that point. It was struggling through that. The next day I was at 9:34 a mile pace. The next day 8:56. And then the fourth day after, I was down to 8:11, which is kind of my normal
Oh,
pace. So I was like
really?
72 hours after Monterey, I was like at least aerobically recovered and kind of right back to where I was before on a run pace. So to me, that run streak also just is really good in helping me track where I'm at physically, how I'm doing that day, and how that recovery process is going.
Interesting. Interesting. Did you find on the Monterey swim, and how many hours was the Monterey Bay swim?
13 and a half, 13
13
and
and
a
a
half.
half. And the water was mid 50s?
56 to 57. Yeah, it was cold.
Okay. Okay. So what is that? 12, 13, 14 degrees Celsius. I
Yeah.
mean, what about cognitively? Was you're fine in those cases, including in the ice mile?
Yes, I think those are kind of different things, because in Monterey, the first time I did Monterey, that's the one where I got
Yeah.
pulled about a mile out, and that one, I don't remember much of those last couple hours. It was
Okay.
very um, concerning, I guess, in a way, because that didn't remember a lot from it, and really kind of lost that mental awareness of during that swim. And I
Yeah.
think that's really kind of what kept me focused. I was counting strokes the whole time there. I mean, Monterey, I took 23,000 strokes with my right arm, and then I could see the shore and finished. Like, I was very, very dialed in. So I didn't have a repeat of the year before. Um, and then for Ice Mile, I guess I just remember, the shock of the first couple laps, but also we were in a short course pool, unfortunately, and those turns were tough, man. It was really hard to push off the wall because you have to do open turns, and then my feet were so cold. The most painful part of it was just pushing off the wall every time.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
that was brutal.
Oh,
It was, I think that just kind of that awareness of where I was, and just powering through, counting down the laps. I think that really helped me push through. the
Yeah.
I smile. And like I said, just being comfortable with being uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
Just not being afraid of the initial shock, just knowing what you're up against, kind of having processed in your mind. I've always, even going into Ironmans, I think the mental gymnastics you have to do the day before a race to convince yourself that what you're doing isn't only feasible, but it's going to be easy, right?
Yeah.
Like I've got this. I've trained for it.
Yeah.
The time's going to pass, and we're going to be through the next day, and we're going to be done.
Yeah. And what about eating post competition or post swim? Do you have some sort of formula that works for you?
Not specifically. I think during the swim, we do a lot of Carbo Pro and
Okay.
gels, and just kind of keep that calorie count up. After a swim, it's usually just kind of whatever's available, just whatever's available, whatever sounds good, whatever I want to eat. We do a lot of pizza after swims, or
Got it.
just whatever is kind of going to get some solid food in you, and taste good, and get some more calories in there.
Yeah, interesting because we live obviously on the western part of the United States where In-N-Out burgers are, or In-N-Out is a famous chain for those global
Yeah.
members of the audience that aren't familiar. But God, I remember after long workouts or a long swim, I would be thinking about that double burger more and
Yes,
more the closer I got to the end.
that's right. That's right. We've definitely, I think during 8 Bridges, did Five Guys one day. It's that same kind of thing. Like, it might not be something you'd recommend to somebody during an event, but man, it tasted good at the time.
Yeah, yeah. So are there any other tips, secrets, recommendations that you can offer to people who are listening in?
I think the biggest thing is just getting as specific as you can. I mean, you train specifically, you recover specifically, you race specifically. I think it's funny because the type of swimming that I do myself and the type of swimming that I coach could not be more different.
Got
Most of my swims are, just long pull sets where I'll do 5 2000s or 10 1000s, very long, very boring stuff. But when I'm coaching, I mean, there's 4 Olympic events that are going to take longer than 2 minutes, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
a very, very fast racing sport with pool swimming. And, so that's what we train for when I coach. When I'm swimming and preparing for an 18 or a 13-hour swim, it's a
yeah,
very, very different type of swimming. I think so. The recovery is going to be different. Um, but I think it's also my biggest advice, I guess, would be to, really settle on the event you want to do, whether, how long the distance is, or what the conditions. Second is find out as much as you possibly can about it. What's the weather typically like? What is the different types of wind mean? What currents do you expect? What are the wildlife that you might encounter? And just being able, that helped me at least process to get through stuff. I remember the first time I got stung by a man of war in Hawaii. Fortunately, it hit me in the calf, which is probably the best place to get hit if you're gonna get hit.
right.
So immediately I looked at my watch and I'm like, okay, I'd say the pain is 10 out of 10 on the pain scale right now. How long is it going to be before it's a 5?
Okay.
Right. And then when that happened, I looked at my watch and I'm like, okay, well, that took about 15 minutes. And then how much longer before I don't really feel it at all? That was about 45 minutes. So
Okay.
shortly thereafter, when I got stung across the face and in the mouth, I'm like, okay, this next 45 minutes isn't going to be a lot of fun, but we're going to get through it. We can get, get to
Okay.
the other side. So, to me, it's knowing what that challenging elements of the swim they are at, to train for what you can train for, and then to just build that mental strength to get through what you can't train for. I mean, you can't really train for a jellyfish sting.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily train for the chop you're going to see, or what the specific conditions are going to be.
Yeah.
So, in some, I'd say, plan your swim, find out as much as you possibly can about it, train for all the elements that you can, and then feel like you built that mental strength and toughness that when you deal with those unknown elements, the stuff that you can't predict, the stuff that you can't train for, that you have the tenacity to just kind of move forward and get through it.
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Because recovery doesn't necessarily always mean after you've taken your last stroke. You're
Right.
recovering
Yes.
actually during your swim.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. And then, recovery is also, especially if you're swimming in a warm place or the sun is out. I mean, recovery is also skin recovery.
Oh,
So
yes.
putting on the sunscreen or, Desitin, which is the baby ointment or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that is also part of post-swim recovery.
And that for Hawaii, I mean, there's nothing that's more miserable than getting completely fried the first day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the one where we learned that Desitin has a much higher zinc content than Balmex, right? I mean, it's the little tricks of the trade that, like, man, I got burned through Balmex, we got to go to Desitin, two different brands of ointment, and one has the higher zinc content.
Yeah.
So it's just, being able to get, to plan for that part of the swim, right? That's obviously not as big a deal in the North Channel, but in Hawaii, you've got to take care of that, because with a bad sunburn, you can't sleep well, you can't do anything.
Yeah. And I remember talking with Ned Dennison one time, and he put on the Desitin all over the place, and he put it right until the edge of his swimsuit. Well, during the swim, your swimsuit moves around a bit, and there was a little bit of edge that he had not, on the upper side of his butt is a little bit of edge, and so he got, royally burned on a strip, which was almost worse than getting totally burned.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was saying, if you put on the sunscreen or the Desitin or whatever brand you use, make sure you get it, on the women's strap, you want to get it under the strap, or the men's suit, a little bit deeper in, that it may be covered right now, but 8 hours in the swim, it may be exposed.
Well, and even if you cover it, that the suit can rub it off. I mean, that's the other problem. And my brother actually thought of using like a black magic marker and just drawing a line there, because that's not going to rub off. So that was an idea he had. We hadn't had an opportunity to try that yet.
Yeah.
But I think back to like Ironman, when I got really badly burned, but my race number wasn't, because that marker acted as a sunscreen.
Oh, really?
I'm going to try that next time. Is that going to help on the suit line? Black magic marker,
Yeah.
So,
interesting. And you definitely don't want to have a light color pattern suit, because
that'll burn
you'll have all kinds of little swirls around your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been great, very educational, and we appreciate all your span of knowledge and experiences, and it's really good. And obviously we're going to be following you in all your future endeavors.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and just feel like it's a sport I love, and happy to connect with people and just move the sport forward and have a lot of fun in the process.
Great. Good luck.
Thank you.